Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on April 30th, 2020. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for education purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, so as usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. All right, so in terms of the data that's coming up here, so a couple of things. First of all, the data that came out of the US today was mixed. We saw that the GDP numbers here, or advanced GDP numbers, were considerably lower than what was expected. So this was negative for the US dollar. We have seen the US dollar drop today as a result of this. And then pending home sales number was substantially lower. So this is a problem. And of course, that was reflected in the US dollar pricing. US dollar has been hit today, and it's kind of been on a downtrend for the last little bit here. Now, we also had FOMC here. We weren't expecting an interest rate cut. However, what the Fed has said essentially is that they are willing to support the market in as much as the market needs support, and they are willing to put all their full support behind the market, which is good for the stock markets. We saw the stock market went up as a result of that. Now, it's not good for US dollar, because generally when there is a lot of printing of money and a lot of money being thrown at the market, that's bad for the currency. So as a result of that, US dollar dropped. So coming up here now, we have manufacturing PMI numbers for China. And at this point, they're not expected to be much lower than the previous number, which is surprising. So if that's the case, if the number comes in same as expected or similar to what the expectations are, that would be good for, of course, China, but it will also be good for the stock markets. It'll be good for Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar as well. Now, on the flip side, though, if it does not meet expectation, or if it's substantially lower than the expectations, that would be bad for the stock market, Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. So that's something we need to keep in mind here. And also, we have consumer confidence number from Japan here. It's expected to be lower than the previous number. Same thing applies here. If it is within a reasonable kind of distance from this expected number, then it'll be fine. But if it does drop substantially, that will be a problem for Japanese yen. So another thing that has been impacting the market is we are seeing earnings coming out. So yesterday, Google announced earnings, or Alphabet announced earnings, which was better than expected. So we saw a jump in the markets today. The stock markets around the world essentially went, or the ones that we track went up. And then we also saw other companies announce their earnings. So today we were looking at Amazon, which of course the earnings are much higher than expected, or much higher than you would normally see because of the COVID-19. And then we also have other tech companies that were announcing their earnings, and of course they would beat the expectations as well. And as a result, there is this positive sentiment in the market. Aside from that, we are also seeing a lot of different countries around the world are coming up with plans on opening up the economies, which is also a positive sign, and that creates a positive sentiment in the market. That means the stock markets do well under that scenario. Plus, we see the US dollar will drop, and everything else essentially goes up against the US dollar. The risk currencies go up against the US dollar. And then another thing that we heard today was also Gilead came in and said that the drug tests, or the vaccine tests that they had been doing, the initial results are positive out of those trials. And that's a good thing as well, because that's another indication that we are now likely to see the markets open up. So all in all, a lot of different positive news items that are coming out. And as a result of that, the overall environment in the market has been very risk positive. Now, coming up tomorrow here. Today we had FOMC. Tomorrow we have ECB. So ton of data here from the Eurozone. Main thing here, though, will be ECB. At this point, ECB, of course, is at 0% interest rate, so not expecting them to go negative. But the main thing will be, what are their plans? Are they going to support the markets as Fed is doing? And if that's the case, then that will be good for the stock markets. May not be so positive for the euro, but if euro is not doing so well and US dollar is doing even worse, euro may still go up. So keep that in mind. So we are likely to have an first response here, initial response from the monetary policy statement, and then a secondary response as a result of the press conference. In terms of Canadian dollar here, we saw that with the risk positive environment, oil prices went up, and with oil prices going up, it was positive for Canadian dollar, and we saw dollar CAD dropped as a result of that. Now, if the GDP numbers here come in as expected, that would be good for Canadian dollar, and we could see Canadian dollar go up, which means dollar CAD would drop under that, under those circumstances. We also have unemployment claims, again expecting 3.5 million more unemployment claims. Now, a lot of this is already sort of priced into the market. However, if the stuff that comes in, or the number that comes in, is higher than this number here, that will be negative for the US dollar, and we could see a drop again in the US dollar, which means all the dollar crosses are likely to go up further. So keep that in mind. We also have Chicago PMI numbers here. These ones are expected to drop quite a bit here, and same thing applies here. If the number is even below the expected number, which is already substantially lower than what the previous number was, then it is definitely negative for US dollar, and we could see a drop there. So that's what we have for the day. So tons of news. So keep an eye on the price, because we're likely to see an impact on the prices as a result of all this news coming out. Now let's go on to our charts. As usual, we'll start off with euro dollar here. So euro dollar, we saw that price actually went up. It wasn't able to break through the support level here. With all the positive risk sentiment, euro, of course, went up as a result of that. We do have a bullish candle close, but if we take a look here, this one has been trading within a range. So this is a strong resistance level. Even with the positivity in the market today, price was not able to even reach 1.09. So here, my bias today is more neutral for euro dollar. So if it holds below this 109, basically, if it holds below 109, we could look for it to go back towards the support level here, 1.08. Now, should it go through that, only then would I look for the next level. But for now, basically, I'm looking for a move back towards the support level here. And if it holds above the support level, then we are likely to see a move back into the range. So essentially looking for a range-bound move for the day. So bias here is neutral for euro dollar. Having said that, though, there is a lot of positive sentiment in the market, risk positive sentiment. And if it goes through this, so based on what ECB says or what's happening with the US dollar, if it goes through this, then we are very likely to see a further move to the upside. In that case, the next target here will be 1.0950. In that case, I will look for a move higher here. So in that case, we would need to see a break above the 109 level for it to continue lower. So for now, bias is neutral for euro dollar. Pound dollar here, this one has been interesting. We did have a pin bar or a doji in this one here as well, but as we can see, price had gone up. So at this point here, I'm neutral on this one here as well. I think a lot of it will depend on how the US dollar reacts. So if the US dollar still is weak or stays weak. Actually, another thing I forgot to mention here is it's month end as well. So with April 30th being month end, a lot of times we can see flows in the markets that can be in the opposite direction of what's going on, or we could see a lot of these hedge funds and larger traders readjusting their portfolios in order to hold enough of a certain, so they need to have a certain proportion of assets within each asset class. So they need to have certain amount of equity, so certain percentage of equity, certain percentage of commodities and bonds and so forth. So when they do these, when they do the month end, they have to basically adhere to those restrictions that are placed on them, which means they may buy and sell stuff, and moves can be in the opposite direction. So watch out for that as well. So having said that, going back to the pound dollar here, this is looking, I'm neutral on this. And the reason for that is price hasn't been able to break the high of the pin here. So in this case, what I'm looking for is the resistance level here. If price stays below 1.2500 or 1.2480, essentially the high of today, if it holds below, it can still come back down here towards the support level. So this is the range this pound dollar has been trading in for the last little while. As we can see, it tried to break through this resistance, failed, and now here we are. So if it holds below 1.2480, then I'm looking for price to come back down, potentially towards a support level at 1.2300. On the flip side though, if it manages to get through that resistance level, then there's plenty of room to the upside. In that case, the first target here will be 1.2520 and then 1.2580. For now though, I am looking for looking at the resistance. If it holds below, we may see a move back towards today's lows, which is 1.2380. So I'm neutral on this, and I'm going to keep an eye and see which direction price wants to go if it holds above or below. So that's what we have for. So neutral for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here, this one has been very bullish because of the positive risk sentiment. So when the stock markets go up, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar tend to go higher. So we have seen that. Now the candle close on the daily is very, very bullish. So bias is bullish in this case. I'm looking for a pullback into 0.6500. And if it holds above that level, which is essentially the top, let's draw this straighter, essentially the top of this candle here. So if it holds above, then I will look for a further move to the upside. So far, all the swings here, it has been higher highs and higher lows. So this is still looking bullish. And should that continue, so if it holds above 0.6500, next target would be 0.6580, and then 0.6620 would be the next two targets. So bias is bullish. Now be cautious though, if it drops through this 0.6500 level, then this one can come back down as well, all the way into this previous support level, which is 0.6440. So just be mindful of that, but bias for now is bullish for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar, this one's actually into the resistance. So yesterday we did have a bullish pin bar. It managed to break through the resistance, and now we are into the top of this range. So this is the range that price has been trading in, and price has closed right into the top of it. It's a daily Maribozu, very, very strong bullish candle. But as we have seen, it's not just, prices are not just driven, or the currencies don't move based on technicals. Currencies move based on what's going on in the wider market. And having said that, if it doesn't break through the resistance level, so if it doesn't manage to hold on the other side of it, we could see price come all the way down, because that is the top of the range, and in a range bound move, price tends to reject the high or the resistance and comes back down. But so that's the cautious part. All right, so price is into resistance. So if it doesn't go through, I'm looking for a drop, but should it go through, the next target here is 0.6160. And then above that, we're looking at 0.6200. So bias is bullish, but with caution for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, a big drop. Now, again, with this one as well, price is right into that support. The daily candle close here, again, is a mere bozu. We have a strong daily close right into the support, but it is into the support. So if it doesn't break through the support, we could see price turn around here. So watch out for that. But since it is bearish, I would look for a potential pullback into 1.3940 level or 1.3935 level. And if it holds below that, and in that case, I would look for a further drop. First target, of course, would be 1.3880, and then below that, we're looking at 1.3800. So bearish bias for dollar CAD. Let's move on to commodities here. Silver is still trading in a range here. It hasn't really done a whole lot. It's been stuck between 15.50 and then 15. So very, very narrow range here. Today's candle close was neutral as well. So bias is neutral. I'm just looking for price to trade within this range at this point. But should it break through the high, then I will look for next target of 15.80. If it breaks through the support at 15, then next target here is 14.50. So for now, bias is neutral for silver. Gold here, gold has been interesting. We saw a drop in gold, and now today's candle close was bullish. So at this point, I'm neutral on this. Price is right into this resistance level. So if it holds below the resistance, then we're looking for a move back towards a support at 1691. But should it get through here, then I will look for a move into 1739.40-ish level. So for now, bias is neutral for gold as well. And the critical level here would be 1715 or 1716 level. Oil here, oil got a push higher here because of the risk on sentiment. We do have a bullish candle close, so I'm looking for price to move higher into 19.20. And next target here is 21. So bias is bullish for now for oil. And if it holds below this 19 level, then we're coming back into the range because this is the range that it's been trading in. So for now, bias is bullish for oil. Copper here, this one also broke through the resistance here. We do have a bullish candle close, so bias is bullish. At this point, I will look for a pullback potentially into this 2.31, and if it holds above, then I'm looking for a move to the upside, which is 2.36 will be the first target in that case. And should it go through that, we're looking at 2.38. So bullish bias for copper. Bitcoin here today had a huge day to the upside, a lot of risk positive sentiment coming into Bitcoin here. It managed to break through the resistance level and through all kinds of resistance levels here. So a huge move to the upside. Now it is into resistance, so be mindful of that. So bias is bullish. And what I'm looking for here is if it holds above 86.65 level, then chances are it is going higher. And next target here is 91.50. And then above that, we're looking at 93.80. So bias is bullish here. And this is the move that I will look for. Now, should it drop through this level though, then there is this gap that it has now filled, but it can drop through this gap here and it can come all the way down here. So watch out for that. So the important level to keep in mind here is 86.65. If it holds above, I'm looking for a move higher, but if it goes through that, we are back into this support level. So for now, bullish bias for Bitcoin. All right, equities markets here, S&P 500 looking bullish. As we can see, price went through the resistance level, even though from technical perspective, we had a bearish pin bar, which means the price should have dropped. That has not been the case. It has gone higher. So this is bullish here. And in terms of our targets, first one is 2980, and then above that we're looking at 3030. So bullish bias here. Now when we have such big moves, there's bound to be pullbacks. First pullback level, it's already into this level at 2950. If it holds above, I will look for a move higher, or it can drop a little bit more into top of yesterday's pin, which is 2920. And if it holds above, we can get a further move up from there. So watch out for the pullback level, but candle close for the day is very, very strong, bullish Mariposa here. So it is looking bullish. Now, there's also, like I said, it's month end, so we could see some flows in the opposite direction. And also, there's a lot of this whole, especially in today's market, buy the rumor, sell the news. So with the earnings coming out, now that they are out, we may see a reversal, because generally prior to these events, there's an expectation that gets built into the price, and we normally see a push higher. But once the news is done, we can see a reversal. So right now markets are more volatile than usual, so just be mindful of that. For now though, I'm looking for a pullback, either a shallow pullback or a deeper pullback, and then a move higher. So bias is bullish for S&P 500. First target is 2980 and then 3030. Nasdaq here, a huge move to the upside, especially with all the earnings coming out here. Still looking bullish here in terms of a pullback. I would keep an eye on 9,000. So if it holds above 9,000, I'm looking for a further move to the upside. 9220 is the first target, and then we have 9,300 as the second target. So bias here is bullish, and this is the move I would keep an eye out for. So bullish bias here for Nasdaq. Dow Jones here, this one as well broke through the resistance. Now it is into the next level of resistance, so do keep an eye on that, but it is looking bullish. It's already pulling back into 24,550. So if it holds above, I'm looking for a further move to the upside. Now first target here is 25,180. And then above that, 25,650 here. So bias is bullish for Dow Jones as well. DAX here as well finally broke through the resistance here. And as we can see, all the stock markets here, or all the indices that we track, are looking bullish at this moment. A lot of positive risk positive sentiment going on in the market. It was stuck in this range for quite some time. It's managed to break through that. And now price has gone above this level where we saw the big drop. So market is essentially retracing its steps. And at this point, so this one is looking bullish here. Next target is 11,265. And then above that, 11,400. So bias is bullish here for DAX. Footsie, this one as well broke through the resistance. This one had been trading in this range here. Now it was pushing higher and it went through. So we are into the next level of resistance. Of course, we do have to keep an eye on it, but bias is bullish. Next target here is 6230. And then as we can see above that, we are basically back into closing the gap here. So bullish bias, first target 6230 and then 6400. So bullish bias here for Footsie as well. Nikkei also had a bullish move higher. As we can see, it went right through the pulled back into the support resistance level here, went through. We have a nice bullish candle close. It is into resistance, so we have to be careful, but it is looking bullish right now. Next target is 20,700. And then above that, we're looking at 21,000. So bullish bias for Nikkei as well. And in terms of the pullback, I would look at 20,120 as the pullback level, and then a further move to the upside. So bullish bias here for Nikkei as well. All right, so that's it for today. Have a wonderful trading day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.